Wait, you're a Bears fan and you're not subscribed to my channel? Before this video starts, make sure to 1. Hit the subscribe button below to catch all Bears content right here on this podcast. 2. Hit the bell notification because you, my friend, are a diehard Bears fan. And 3. Like this video and tell all the Bears fans you know about the channel. Alright, that's better. Now that you're actually subscribed to the channel, make sure to bear down and enjoy this video.
Now this is a podcast all about Bears. You either cheering for this team or just pulling your hair. I like to take a minute, just sit right back and tell you how I became the #1 Bears fan.
That boy is Benny Hunter.
Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. And Antelope is where I spend most of my days. You talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
So as Bears fans, we finally have an opportunity to calm down for a little bit. Not a lot of news. Bears news has been kind of slow, which is kind of a good thing. So now we can bring everything into focus, which is the point of today's episode right here on Keek on the Mic. Rather, you're still buzzing over the Justin Fields news or you finally came back to earth, which it's okay if you're still buzzing over the Justin Fields news. You should be. I know a lot of you guys probably already purchased this jersey. I know a lot of people are probably still waiting on the Justin Fields jersey, which is rightfully so. I know everyone's going to want Justin Fields jersey. But we can finally come back to earth a little bit. And something that I want to ask you guys to start this podcast episode is, what is your confidence level with this Chicago Bears team? We are finally leading into OTAs where we will get to see basically everyone together for the very first time, which is really exciting. You know, there's a lot of question marks around this team. And this question can be very broad. I can actually say, what is your confidence level with the state of the Chicago Bears defense? What is your confidence level in the state of the Chicago Bears offense? Or what is your confidence level in Matt Nagy or Ryan Pace? You can answer any of those questions down below in the comment section. But I want to know, overall, what is your confidence level in the entirety of the Chicago Bears organization? And this is something that I've been wanting to ask you guys for a long time, because before this draft, this A-plus draft that Ryan Pace orchestrated, I would probably say for a lot of you guys, the confidence level in this Chicago Bears team was very, very low. This was probably, to you guys, maybe a 4-13 team, only a 4-win team. But after we drafted Justin Fields, Tevin Jenkins, you know, there's new life in Chicago. There's new hope with Justin Fields being hopefully the future at quarterback, which that's the goal. And that kind of leads me into what I really actually want to talk about on today's episode of Keek on the Mic is, and I know I've been talking about this a lot, but does Justin Fields actually have a chance to start? You know, obviously, if you guys watched my last podcast episode where I was a host on Sports Talk Chicago with John, had a great time on his podcast. Make sure you go check his YouTube channel out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for him. He's an excellent Bears coverage guy. Had a lot of fun joining his show. I know I talked a little bit about Justin Fields on his show, but I wanted to really come on here and really ask you guys, do you guys truly think Justin Fields can start week 1? And would that change the confidence level for the Bears organization for this upcoming season? I have mixed opinions on it because it's one of those things where we do understand Andy Dalton's the week 1 starter. And I think Justin Fields can come in and compete with Andy Dalton for that week 1 starting job. But I guess my only concern is when you look at the schedule and you see Sunday Night Football on the road against a pretty impressive Rams defense, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, a bunch of dogs on that defense. And you can even go as far as Leonard Floyd having a big season last year. So would throwing in Justin Fields week 1 against a defense like that be the smartest decision, especially not knowing what our offensive line is going to look like. And I'm just trying to put this in perspective. I'm just trying to be realistic here. I do want to see Justin Fields play. But would week 1 be the right moment for him to actually play? You can look at maybe week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals, a very beatable team. You can maybe even look at week 4, a home game against the Detroit Lions, another very winnable game. If we start in week 4 against Detroit, that gives Andy Dalton, I guess, 3 weeks to prove himself. All right, the risk you take is you start out the season 0-3. Or how about Andy Dalton starts the season 2-1 somehow? Then the Chicago Bears are in a very favorable situation. So there's pros and there's cons to either starting or sitting Justin Fields to start the season. One thing I want to point out on this episode of Keek on the Mic, something that got my confidence level up for the future of the organization. So going back to my first question to start the podcast is, if you weren't already confident in Justin Fields and his abilities to start week 1, after watching his press conference before his very first rookie minicamp practice, my confidence about Justin Fields and the future of this franchise shot all the way up to an all-time sky-high confidence level. Justin Fields has so much confidence in himself, and he believes that he can be the week 1 starter right now. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to play a little clip of Justin Fields' press conference, and I know this was last week, but if you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to play it right now, right here on Keek on the Mic. So check this out, guys.
You're going to do everything you can to win the starting quarterback job?
Of course. I mean, I think everybody on our team should be striving for a starting job. And if you're not, then there's no reason for you to be here. So, of course, I'm going to do everything that I can to, get that starting job. And, it's really, it's not up to me. Coach Nagy, he has a set plan on, my development and stuff like that. But I'm just going to, work hard and keep my head down and just keep grinding it out every day.
So as you guys can see, Justin Fields made it very, very clear that he is going to do everything he can to be the Bears' starting quarterback. His confidence is through the roof, and it seems that he doesn't want to start his career on the bench. There are certain guys that need some grooming. If you look at, for example, just this rookie quarterback class from this draft, Trey Lance probably needs to sit for a year. Mac Jones may need to sit for a year. Justin Fields probably has the capability to start right away in the NFL. And just by that one press conference alone, that did give me some more confidence to maybe start Justin Fields in that week 1 game against the Rams. Will it be tough? Yes. Would it be exciting to see? Yes. I think starting Justin Fields week 1 does have its positives. You start Justin Fields week 1, I think the whole team starting week 1 would rally around Justin Fields and play their asses off for Justin Fields, making that game that seems that we have no chance to compete in, maybe giving us more of a chance to actually come out with the upset win over the Rams, week 1, Sunday Night Football in Los Angeles. And I'm just trying to bring everyone to focus, because I know I asked a lot of questions. Should Justin Fields start? Should he not? But I really wanted to break it down and share my thoughts. Just watching that one press conference, Justin Fields has a whole lot of freaking confidence in himself. And the Bears truly notice it. They claim that they want a true alpha running the team, and Justin Fields could possibly be that true alpha at quarterback that they've been looking for all these years. And that's no offense to Andy Dalton. I think Andy Dalton can hold his own. But when you look at Matt Nagy, do you really think he's going to be able to hold back if Justin Fields comes in to camp when it's him and Andy Dalton both on the field? and not start Justin Fields if Justin Fields is truly better than Andy Dalton. Matt Nagy has already claimed that Andy Dalton will get first team reps. Okay, rightfully so. You paid the man $10 million. You have a third string quarterback in Nick Foles. That's going to be, making $8 million guaranteed? So there's pros and cons to it, people. There's truly pros and cons to it. But and I've been saying this for the longest time in a lot of my podcast episodes. If Justin Fields comes in and is better than Andy Dalton from the jump and truly beats them out, because they're learning the offense at the same pace. So if Justin Fields is better in camps, in preseason games, in all the practices that they do, even in the film room, in the meetings, if he's better than Andy Dalton, don't you think Matt Nagy won't pull the trigger? He probably will. Going back to the state of this team, just a couple of months ago, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace were on the chopping block. And they are under immense pressure to make sure Justin Fields works out. So if Justin Fields gives the Chicago Bears the best chance to succeed this season and win football games, I think you have to start Justin Fields. And that actually, it does kind of suck, because you just gave Andy Dalton $10 million freaking dollars. And of course you have Nick Foles paying him $8 million. So we are spending a lot of money on quarterbacks. And if they end up being backup quarterbacks, that's $18 million in backup quarterbacks. $18 million that can go elsewhere in the organization to maybe help the defense, to maybe complete the offensive line. There's a lot of pieces that this team still possibly needs. So to answer my own question, I am very confident in the state of this Chicago Bears franchise. Just by listening to that one press conference alone with Justin Fields, I am confident that Justin Fields, and don't be surprised if he comes in and beats out Andy Dalton. So let me ask you guys this again before I wrap up this podcast episode. How do you guys feel? How confident are you guys about the overall state of this Chicago Bears franchise? Let me know down in the comment section below. But before I end this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram page at Keek on the Mic. And make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, I'll be back for an all new Bears episode right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys.
Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. You talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the Mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down. Bear down.